An EF2 tornado leaving behind a trail of debris.
Homes, businesses, schools damaged or destroyed, and we got a better look at how widespread it was when we flew Chopper 11 HD and Drone 11 over Greensboro today. The path of destruction is several miles long.
One person is dead, tens of thousands of people still without power in Guilford County right now. Some schools won't reopen this year.
This one was incredibly wide. And when you put a wide tornado is bad, but when you put a wide tornado over in an urban area, the amount of destruction just goes up a lot.
The work to assess the damage just beginning as Guilford County rallies around their neighbors to help rebuild. And with that, we say good evening, everyone. Steve Daniels is off. I'm Joel Brown.
And I'm Tisha Powell. We have live team coverage in Greensboro. Chief Meteorologist Chris Hohmann on the ground with the National Weather Service. But we begin with Jonah Kaplan, who's been talking with North Carolinians impacted by last night's severe storms. Jonah, give us an update.
You know, Tisha, I think a lot of people are feeling a sense of relief today. I mean, just one example, take a look at this tree that obviously has fallen right down like a bowling pin. It could have fallen on top of that house. You had 3 schools that were damaged severely, and no one was in those schools because it was a Sunday evening. There's no match for Mother Nature's wrath. Some trees knocked down like bowling pins, others snapped like little twigs. Drone 11 capturing some of the 4-mile path of destruction.
The magnitude of it, we could have stood under that tree when it would rain and couldn't even get wet. That's how big it was. It was a big oak tree.
Cedric Robinson showing us where that tree crushed his home of 30 years. He and his son surviving the storm in a first-floor bathroom.
I started blowing up against the house real hard, and then next thing I know, I shot out of there and I went to grab my flashlight, and by the time I got straight out of the kitchen to hit the hallway, the tree like a bomb hit. Boom!
City and county emergency managers counting more than 300 homes hit by the storm in East Greensboro. Drone 11 again in the sky, looking down at a house without a roof. 100 homes, including Robinson's, severely damaged or destroyed. But you won't find them grieving.
We can get another house, but we can't get another life, but I'm just blessed we're still here.
The Red Cross opening up a shelter with a capacity for nearly 300 people. Volunteers keeping it open 24 hours a day for as long as people need it. Plenty of businesses, commercial properties also sustaining damage. You'll find a lot of piles like this on the ground. You'll have pieces of roofing, you'll have some siding, some of these panels, but in addition to the ground looking down, you also have to look up. Check that out. More aluminum panels. They're picked up and tossed around like feathers. Also up above, firefighters on their ladders surveying the damage to Hampton Elementary, one of 3 schools now closing for the rest of the year. All 76,000 students in the district staying home again Tuesday while the cleanup continues. Another day for parents to deal with the storm's emotional impact. Amy Staley says there's a lot to learn from this experience.
Just how blessed we are, and don't take advantage of what you have or take it for granted because it could be gone in a second. So.
You know, when you think about it, I mean, you're doing yard work and all you want to do is pick out a weed or some poison ivy. The sheer magnitude of them pushing this over, unbelievable. Chief Meteorologist Chris Hohmann joining us now. And Chris, what's interesting also about this storm is where it hit. We're in East Greensboro. It's an urban area. A lot of times you see these storms or tornadoes, they're in more rural environments.
Right, and Jonah, just by the very nature that most areas aren't urban, so many times these strong tornadoes will hit, and we don't get that many EF2s, especially in an urban area like Greensboro, like Raleigh 8 years ago today, and Fayetteville too. But we're at Hampton Elementary School on the east side of Greensboro, and the mobile units here destroyed. It's so fortunate that kids were out of school yesterday when that tornado hit. Look at the basketball goal there. It's not broken off, it's bent over by the winds, 135 mile per hour winds, and you see the foam from the insulation there blown against the trees from the mobile units here, the mobile classrooms. This is one of the 3 schools in Greensboro that will not be reopening this year. The kids will have to go elsewhere, but just again, really fortunate that the kids weren't here when this hit. The protocol is for the kids to go indoors, of course, to the main building, which suffered some damage but is still standing, but they only had a few seconds warning with this, or at least up to a minute. We're going to get confirmation on that. But again, just a miracle nobody was was hurt. There were injuries. There was that fatality. But we've got some aerial shots there. You see of Greensboro. You see the widespread destruction. This tornado hitting an urban area. Governor Cooper out talking to some of the victims today, offering assistance, comforting them. And they were glad to see him and folks trying to get things back to normal today, at least start the process of rebuilding, getting their lives back in order. We did talk with the National Weather Service, Nick Petro from the National Weather Service in Raleigh. They did their survey, and a couple of things came together to make this storm especially bad for Greensboro.
This one was incredibly wide. And when you put a wide tornado is bad, but when you put a wide tornado over an urban area, the amount of destruction just goes up a lot.
And again, we're right at that point where the destruction was at its peak, at least in parts of Greensboro. You see, again, that there were actually 2 units here, and both of them destroyed. The kids, again, will not be coming back to this school this year. They're going to other schools around Guilford County. And again, folks just trying to get things back to normal, but it's going to be a long process. It's 8 years ago today that the massive outbreak hit all of central and eastern North Carolina, including Raleigh, including Fayetteville, the Sanford-Raleigh tornado. There were 30 tornadoes that day and 24 fatalities. It wasn't that bad yesterday, but for the folks in Greensboro, it was just as bad. Live in Greensboro now, Chris Hohmann, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Just unbelievable damage, Chris. And this is just the beginning of what could be months to years of cleanup. Chris Hohmann live for us in Greensboro.
Absolutely.
Chris, thank you.